Wait a minute. She worked with ICE before? She was part of an ICE what? Wait a minute. No. An ICE watch group. Oh, an ICE watch group. Watching out for ICE. Patrolling for ICE. It's funny how this shooting has divided the country. See, whenever I look at a particular situation, I always look at the root of it. Okay? So for example, there's been police stops where people have been, taken out. Okay? But initially they were stopped for speeding. So I always look at the root of it. If you weren't speeding, this wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't have been pulled over. This wouldn't have escalated. You know what I'm saying? Because this just steps to the process. But there's the initiation of the whole situation. And if you really want to look at the initiation of all of this, it's people coming into the country illegally. Do it the right way. People are now losing their lives over trying to keep law enforcement from removing people that came into the country illegally. Now look, I get it. There's some people that had crazy situations. They were very desperate to get to the United States so they didn't have to deal with certain situations in their own, in their former country or whatever. So other than that, a lot of illegal immigrants are good people, right? Other than the one illegal thing that they did to get here. But look, growing up, I knew crackheads that other than that damn vice, that damn addiction, that one illegal thing that they were doing were actually good people. But I wasn't jumping in front of police cars to stop the police from arresting them when they caught them smoking it, buying it, or even selling it. Some people that sold it actually smoked it too. I stay out of that. I just try to always obey the law. I don't understand. And then there's a rumor circulating, I don't even know if it's true, where the woman's girlfriend they were talking about was actually arrested before for burning with cigarettes. I was like, what? And I might even have to mute what I just said because to YouTube that might be too graphic. But look it up. There's a rumor about what the girlfriend actually was arrested for. I don't. I just follow what RoboCop said. Stay out of trouble. That's it. I try to stay away from it too. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget this one time I went over a dude's house that I worked with. He had a homeboy that would come through every once in a while. And I'll never forget this. This dude, after he gets there, he's like, yo, what's happening, y'all? Pulls out this gun. And it was big, too. I was like, what in the hell? Look at something out of a cowboy movie. He had a damn cowboy gun on him. It was big. Steel, shiny. Right on the table. And I was like, all right, time for me to go. Because I remember one time when I was there, dude came in. Now, at that time, I didn't know he carried a gun on him. I remember the cops were knocking at the front door. And he bolted out the back door. So, see, that tipped me off. Okay, dude, apparently he's in the unsavory things here. After that, I don't think I came back. I think they would ask me to come over sometimes, and I was like, nah, I got this to do, I got that to do. I'm like, no. Because something just might happen. And from what I understand, other stuff was happening in that house. and things was going down. Now, I just stay away. Okay? When I hear about people protesting, throwing rocks at cops, spitting at cops, they're getting pepper sprayed about this and that, I'm not fighting over somebody that did a crime to get into the country. Okay, if I protest, it's got to be it's got to be cut and dry. No gray area in between, which I don't really think there is with this. You know what I'm saying? Even legal immigrants that are the people of the people being deported are saying, why are you skipping the line? Why didn't you do it the right way? Of course they're coming to get you and remove you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be cut and dry if you see me at a protest. This is what happened. There is no argument of whether it was right or wrong. The verdict is this was absolutely wrong. There's no way it can be disputed. Then if you want me to protest, sure. I'll go to a peaceful protest. Because I'm not getting run down with cars. I'm not getting pepper sprayed. I'm not getting tackled by police, dragged, arrested. You know what I'm saying? None of that. I don't understand it personally. Because even if I was on the side of the people, thinking that all of this was wrong, I'm like, well, I'm not getting arrested for this. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not. Let's check this out. Sorry I had a little rant there, but...
All right, Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz declaring today a day of unity, calling for peaceful protests and a moment of silence for Renee Good, the woman killed in Wednesday's fatal ICE-involved shooting.
The National Guard now on standby in the Twin Cities as anti-ICE protests are expected for a third straight day.
Alexis McAdams joins us live from downtown Minneapolis with the latest. Alexis.
Good morning. Well, you saw yesterday some of those protests breaking out across the city, and I think it's interesting being here on the ground covering it, hearing what some of these people are saying to these Border Patrol agents and these ICE officers, calling them murderers, calling them killers, and then even spitting at them, which we'll get to in a second. I want to show you what happened this morning, just a short time ago, right near the scene. This was the first time I've seen Minneapolis police out there trying to, I guess, help, because they're trying to push all of this debris and, basically encampments that were set up right near where the shooting happened. They blocked off the road since this shooting happened and left behind snacks and other items. I don't know for what. Back out here live, although the feds say the agents shot this woman in self-defense, the protesters that we've been talking to say that these people and these agents are killers and they don't want them in their city. They're taking their neighbors, etc. So it's been very contentious here on the ground. We saw at least...
Yeah, I heard the chick say, you're doing this and you're taking our neighbors, and but it's like they leave out why they're taking them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that.
Dozen people arrested. Watch this. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino on the ground, walking up and down. He was trying to show his support for teams who are out helping ICE during this massive federal operation. The reason they are also needed, I think it's important to point out, is because local police are just not around. The Sheriff's Department didn't see them. The Minneapolis PD didn't see them. So when there's all that chaos, they need somebody to help step in. At one point, Bovino had a clash with protesters. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension wanted to conduct its own independent investigation into the shooting. They said, let us take a look at the paperwork. Is there body cam video? They had all these questions, but now they have, quote, reluctantly withdrawn because the FBI said, we don't need your help. They blocked them from being involved. DHS Acting Director Kristi Noem says they don't need Minnesota's help.
I'd like to know where they've been and why they're not out on the streets investigating all of these people that are harassing and inciting violence on law enforcement officers right now. They're allowing this situation to be volatile. They're not doing their work. They have not been cut out. They don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem correcting that there. But yeah, just so much going on the ground. We're expecting more protests, not just today, but throughout the weekend. We'll keep an eye on it.
All right, thanks so much. Appreciate it, Alexis. So who is this mom? Who is this woman that lost her life tragically?
And I did see the video from the other angle. She clipped the cop's leg. I still think that he shouldn't have shot her. I don't think he needed to shoot her. However, remember what I said in my last video about when you do things, especially things that are could be considered aggressive or life-threatening, you don't know what the other person on the other end has been through or how they might react. So apparently this cop was dragged before by someone that was trying to evade. So he was almost killed before, because you can be dragged and then you fall under the car wheels. I've seen videos, stuff like that. So I get why he shot. Looking at it from all angles, I still don't think he should have, but I understood why he did. You understand that? So I wouldn't have done that. But she shouldn't have drove off like that. She should not have drove off like that. I don't have any children right now, but I know that if I did, I would never put myself in danger, impossible danger, knowingly put myself in possible danger when I've got children to go home to. There's no way I would do that. I don't get how a mother could do that. I don't get how you can think, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get in the way of law enforcement arresting people that came into the country illegally and possibly risk my life over. I don't get how that's normal thinking.
Renee Good. We're finding out more. Turns out she moves to Minneapolis, and according to reports, she goes into a daycare with a 6-year-old, or a school with a 6-year-old, and evidently it's a charter school known for its social activism, at which time other parents start saying how important it is for kids to get involved in activism. That's another conversation. Number 2, it turns out that she gets gradually radicalized, or was radicalized already, and joins these anti-ICE teams, and she becomes a warrior for those teams.
Yeah, the New York Post calling her an ICE warrior, saying that Renee Good had participated in part. Yeah, there you go. The cover right there of the New York Post. Look at that. Warrior on the left, saying that she was part, Ainsley, of this ICE Watch group. And, it is unbelievable that in America we have these
trained to resist
organized groups in Minneapolis. We saw it out in California.
Damn it, man. I was trained to resist immigration officers. Wow.
Unbelievable that in America we have these organized.
They didn't train her well enough to protect herself and preserve her own life.
Groups are
Jesus.
allowed to organize to basically dox, identify, and put our ICE, federal immigration law enforcement officers, at greater risk. That's why you've got assaults up 1,300%. That's why you've got a 3,200% increase in vehicle assaults. Now, you mentioned that school, Brian. A mother that also has a child in that school gave a quote to the New York Post saying that Renee was trained against these ICE agents, what to do, what not to do. It's a very thorough training to listen to commands, to know your rights, to whistle when you see an ICE agent. I know she was doing the right thing. I watched the video plenty of times, but I also know in my heart the woman she was doing everything right. However, That's not
Right, if you're an activist.
That's not actually true. If
No.
you're obstructing an ICE
Yeah.
operation,
That person's mind, Chief.
The thing, this just shows you
God.
there are two tales going on in America right now. You have some people who think she was doing the right thing, including this mom at the school. The activist community, they think she was doing the right thing. Then you have the other group, the other side of the story, who says,
I told you, I always look at the root. It's just making me think of different things that coming into my head. Like, I know this dude who was telling me some stuff that was going on between him and his wife, right? His wife was acting up, but he expected me to take his side. Well, I didn't, because I said, well, why is she acting up? Oh, it's this tit for tat stuff because I cheated her. See, it's not right that she's cheating. But I'm going to hold him accountable for why he may have contributed to her cheating. You cheated first, correct? Oh, and several times before she started cheating on you. See what I'm saying? I just go to the root of the situation. I do it with myself. Like, I think of, like, relationships I've had with certain women. I'm like, well, you picked her. You picked her, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, I'm just like, I shouldn't have. It was my fault for picking her. My fault for not seeing the red flags or leaving when I saw a wink of the red flag or a peek or inkling of the red flag, a glimmer of the red flag. Because I've had situations like that where I'm like, okay, I'll hold it up here, but, you know, and then it's come back to bite me in a couple of relationships. Well, you picked her. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she was absolutely wrong for this, that, and the third, but you picked her, bro. You know, so I just go to the root of things, and I'm just like, you know what? And then it's just, for me, it's water under the bridge. I picked her, I made that mistake, and I learned from it. Now let's move forward, you know? And, you know, with stuff like that, it can be small mistakes. And guys know certain situations you've seen in the news, it can be huge mistakes with relationships for men and women, you know? So, you know, I've been stopped by the cops before for making an illegal turn in a city that I didn't know well. Like, I remember I used to service Philadelphia years ago when I did security, and there was certain I just didn't see, and I would get tickets, and I'm honestly telling the cop, like, yo, I didn't see the sign, like, I'm lost, I didn't see the sign, and they still give me the ticket. I'd be mad, but I would know, well, whether I saw the sign or not, or whether I knew, I made the illegal turn, so it is what it is. You see what I'm saying? I'm not just, I hate cops. Cops are a-holes. Well, he did his job. He could have let me off with a warning, which I have been let you know, go with warning because I don't have a bad driving record. But sometimes I was given tickets. I was just like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's my fault for making the illegal turn.
you can't resist arrest. You can't run away from police officers when they tell you to get out of the car. When they tell you to stop. You have to. She was trained to do that.
Now, that's called a lawful order, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, people that watch all the body cam stuff. When they give you a lawful order, you gotta listen. And ICE is considered part of the law enforcement, right? So, that's it. You tried to evade. And in doing so, almost could have ran over another law enforcement person who has dealt with that. It's like dealing with a soldier who just came home with the 1,000-yard stare. It's like he's already been through this and you want to mess with him? Like, I don't understand why people don't stay out of this stuff, out of this conflict.
According to the New York Post, it says she was trained to resist the feds before the shooting, part of the group of activists who worked to document and resist the federal immigration crackdown.
I got to think about the marches with Martin Luther King back in the day. I would have been part of those marches. I would have definitely been part of those marches if I was growing up then. You know what I'm saying? And for that, they had water hoses put on them, dogs sicked on them, and they were arrested. But that was worth it back then. It's got to be like nowadays. I can't think of nothing that I would put my life in danger for. You know what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, back then, if I wasn't marching, I would have moved. You know what I'm saying? I would have moved someplace where they wasn't dealing with it like that. You know? But, either or, depending on, because I like to stay kind of like around my family and friends. So, you know what I'm saying? I'd have been marching or I would have moved. One of the two. You know what I'm saying? So, and if I wasn't marching, I'd have been donating to the cause or something. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't see myself marching for people that did something illegal to get into the country. I just can't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Call her the Ice Watch Warrior.
Do you believe this? She was trained in detail on what ICE can do, what they can't do, how to get in their face, how to block them off. So she's not the poet from Colorado who's coming off, who wants to raise a 6-year-old child. She's an activist living in Minneapolis who's with an anti-ICE group. That's a little bit different than we've been told.
They say the training is very, very thorough,
Yes.
but this lady ended up dead as a result of resisting.
About her own actions, which the vice president pointed out yesterday.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there?
Yeah.
How did she learn about this? There's an
I
entire
ain't going nowhere to obstruct the law. Nope.
network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement.
My whole thing is this. Even if I'm the most peaceful of peaceful protesters, sometimes peaceful protests go awry and get violent. And sometimes certain things just happen that it's like, wouldn't have been me.
Officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it, who's supporting it, who's cheerleading it, and of course if there's illegal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
So let's get this straight. You could focus on the car and they're going to do an investigation and have at it. But you could also focus on who is inciting this violence since President Trump took over. It is these Democratic mayors, Democratic governors in Chicago, over in Minneapolis, and now over in Portland, Oregon. We see it again today, who are basically asking people to do just this. Get in ICE's way. And what is ICE's mandate? To get illegal immigrant criminals off the streets and illegal immigrants out of the country.
And they forget that a lot of these, first of all, they said, firstly, they're going after all of the violent offenders that are illegal immigrants here. So you're trying to block violent criminals from being removed. And they said that also, if they found anyone that was non-violent offenders, while they were looking for the violent offenders, they would be removed too. And this is normal for law enforcement procedures, separating families. It happens. It happens all the time domestically. If somebody's out acting the hell up, they rob a store, they get taken, the cops come to the house, catch them, they've got children, they get separated. It's the normal procedure. It's almost like they blow the stuff out of proportion to tug at people's heartstrings. See, because the emotional person is often an irrational person, and they make irrational decisions. You see?
Their goal. So if you can tell me how that is anti-American, or why that should be your way of making a living, or how you, as the mother of a 6-year-old, should drop your kid off and then go put your life on the line to get in front of the U.S. federal law enforcement, is beyond me. It's a tragedy that she died, but as J.D. Vance said, it's of her own doing that she put herself in that situation, trained to...
Yeah, see, I don't feel good that she was, taken out. You know what I'm saying? There's people I've seen making videos. They don't give one about her. They're saying it's good. They're happy. I've seen people celebrating the fact that she got, you know what I mean? I personally think, after looking at it from both angles, I truly think she was trying to get away. I don't think she was trying to hit him, trying to run him down, trying to drag him. But like I said in my last video, in that quick split decision timing, what is someone going to do? What is a police officer or a law enforcement? What is law enforcement going to do in that split second decision making when it's happened to them before and they could have been killed? You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to think, you got to play chess in your mind when you're putting yourself in these different situations. You have to think 2 and 3, 4, 5 steps ahead so that you don't put yourself in a situation like that.
Get in the way of law enforcement, and don't tell me you're pro-law enforcement if you're anti-ICE. You can't do both. You're going to pick sheriffs that you like, state cops that you like, you're going to pick local cops that you like. All right, I just don't like the FBI, or I just don't like ICE. They're doing their job.
Well, Laura Ingraham last night was in the middle of one of the protests, and the lady admitted this. Laura said, why don't you have a job? She goes, this is my job.
Yeah.
So she is getting paid to be out there. And J.D. Vance is a good point. Who's paying for that brick? Who's paying these individuals?
The same people that are protesting.
All these people out there
left-wing socialist groups
in the cold, too. That ain't for me.
1 minute, the next minute they're pro-George Floyd.
But y'all going to what?
Anti-American issue is,
I'm going home. Let me know how I go, homie.
It's time to follow the money, as J.D. Vance says, and find out who these groups are. It appears, according to the New York Post, one group, Indivisible Twin Cities, may be behind training some of these protesters and organizing them. So
remember in Independence Day, when Vivica Fox's character told her friend not to go to the party on top of the building welcoming the aliens? You remember what happened to her? Remember when the cops were telling them to leave? You remember that? The cops were telling them to leave. Please vacate the premises or whatever. She's like, yeah! Remember that? Remember what happened? See, because I know I'm playing chess. I know that I don't know whether these aliens are friend or foe. So for me, I'm not going to party and welcome the aliens. I'm leaving because if they are hostile, I don't want to be in the area. See, that's thinking a few steps ahead, which a lot of people did in that movie.
You need to know more about them, who they are, and where their money's coming from.
Right. FoxNews.com did a story on Monday that really unwinds the 6 major socialist groups in our country, some of which money comes from Shanghai. Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click.
Wow. It is what it is, folks. If you're out there breaking the law, I just can't see myself, standing up for you. Unless you didn't know. A lot of times people are ignorant to certain things. There are certain, there's certain situations where someone has done something illegal and they didn't know it was illegal. In that situation, I do have compassion for people in certain situations, given certain contexts. It's like, well, damn, they didn't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, cut them a break. They didn't know, it depends on what it is, Post comments down below. 10 million subscribers.